All right, it is 12:11. We've got 4 minutes until qualifying for Radical Cup. We are here with Tom Drewer. So, Tom, how's everybody feeling better now? We've got some sunshine, a little bit warmer weather, not quite as much moisture out there as we had just an hour ago even. Temperatures jumped up to about 67 degrees, so everybody's feeling a little more confident, I guess.
Sorry about that.
All right, we had a little technical difficulty up here in the booth. I think we've got it sorted out. So, Tom, everybody's feeling better down there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, the biggest thing now is it's effectively an unknown. Of course, earlier today, difficult conditions in the wet. Prior to that, very, very cool conditions. The track now is rapidly warming up. This is the first time these drivers are going to be out on this surface with a very, very warm racetrack, and hopefully they've got the setup right. 25 minutes for the qualifying session. This is going to set the grid for race 1. The lap times in race 1 will set the grid for race 2. The lap times in race 2 will set the grid for race 3. Race 3 features a mandatory pit stop. But right now, all of these drivers vying for the pole position, the McDonald's Pole Award in each of the 3 classes. It's crucial because a point is awarded, a championship point, for the pole sitter, and so it will play a big role as we head through the weekend and also through the year. But these drivers now have to forget effectively what they learnt in the prior practice session in those cold, dreary conditions, set all that aside and reset their expectations in terms of the braking markers, in terms of how much speed they can carry through the corners. And we could see in the last few minutes of practice 2 how much that track evolved. We saw young Raiden Nicole in the Pro 1500 class rapidly elevate himself, rocket up to being fastest overall. We saw young Brady Clapham in the Pro 1340 class also rocket up. So now I would anticipate that we'll see a more typical order. The Platinum class cars, the 430 brake horsepower, 380 foot-pound of torque, turbocharged Ford 4-cylinder motors. I'd expect them to be at the front of the field at the pointy end, and then the Pro 1500s and then the 1340s. But we'll wait and see. We've seen at Barber Motorsports Park, even to be honest, at some of the larger circuits, where if you can carry the momentum in the SR3 machinery in the Pro 1340 and 1500 classes, you can certainly put together a good lap time.
Oh yeah, and let's not discount the number 37 of John Fields, who's looking really good in that first session as well. Let's see, or the second session, I should say.
Yeah, so the green flag flies here. 25 minutes on the clock for the Radical Cup North America Series. And we can see now the cars trundling down pit lane. So if you're here trackside, it's time to get a good seat. And thank you for joining us around the world on the YouTube channel. It's Radical Cup North America qualifying here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, as part of the Java House Grand Prix of Monterey. And of course this track is going to involve a lot as well once we get the IndyCars out on circuit. But for right now, all eyes are on Radical Cup. 27 cars taking part in this session and the weekend. A good mix of local drivers as well as drivers from across the country and around the world. A number of Canadians, Chinese driver in Jack Yang racing for an English team, and an Englishman, Andy Lowe, joining us from the Radical Cup UK Series. In fact, both those gentlemen racing the world with Radical, not only here in the US, in the UK, also in the Middle East. And you can see drivers vying for position. They want to get a lap in. Of course, around here, Laguna Seca, the gravel traps are very, very good at what they do, but it means that cars can easily get stuck in a gravel trap, and of course that means it's important to bank a lap early before you find the red flag out and possibly get caught out by the session ending early.
You call it a 25-minute session. It doesn't sound like a long time to qualify, but when you get down to it, the distance on this track, 2.38 miles, is not very much. You can knock down quite a few laps in that time, especially now that we're going to have a little bit more consistent conditions than we had earlier this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. There's enough time to get it done, but as we mentioned, if the red flag comes out, that's where the issue is going to lie. Now, in all classes, there's a fair few drivers to keep an eye on. There's some championship battles that are underway, and indeed we've got a number of drivers hoping to elevate themselves in the points. So Kenny Nail and Dermot Ennis in Pro 1340 trying to claw their way back towards Brady Clapham, the Canadian, who's just coming off a couple of wins on the streets of Toronto, also alongside IndyCar. That was the Radical Cup Canada Series. This is Radical Cup North America, and Brady Clapham will be hoping to continue his streak. Leads the points, 87 points ahead of Kenny Nail at the moment. So he's doing a good job in Pro 1340. The big threat for him this weekend is an old dog with plenty of tricks, and that is Chris McMurray. For those that joined us last year, you would remember the big battle that Chris McMurray had with Suelio Almeida. It was crucial for the championship, and that one came down to the wire. But Suelio came out on top. Chris McMurray took plenty of race wins, though. And McMurray will be one to watch in this session.
And right now we got John Fields throwing down. He got the quickest 3 sectors in that one with the 124.2. They're just getting some heat on those tires, too. And
the man who's second quickest in the Platinum class, Wayne Williams, is in the points lead. He hasn't got a win to his name yet, remarkably, this year, but 12 points ahead of Steve Jenks. Louis Schreiber also in the hunt, as is Ben Blander, who isn't here this weekend. Chip Romer's a little bit further back in the point score, but can certainly rocket up that chart with a couple of good results this weekend. Chip Romer, a former SCCA champion, runoffs champion, now trying his luck in spec racing and the Radical Cup. But everyone's got to try and catch the former America Le Mans Series winner, John Field. Had a bit of a hiatus from motorsport, came back to the paddock through doing a primal racing school up at Atlanta Motorsport Park. In fact, I just happened to be up there that day and bumped into 2 old friends, John Field, Clint Field, having the time of their lives in Radical SR1 machinery. And it was great to see them. Used to race against them in IMSA Lights, and all of a sudden John Field got the bug again, and out here he is our reigning Platinum Class champion. He's won 2 championships in a row, and is certainly putting all of his knowledge into full effect at the moment. Wayne Williams with 3/10 to find if he wants to eclipse John Field for that McDonald's Pole Award in the Platinum class. Raiden Nicole showing he can mix it up with the faster machinery, as we see Wayne Williams, the points leader, go through the corkscrew. And Raiden Nicole now fastest in a Pro 1500, third fastest overall. Spencer Schmidt, Sam Schmidt's son, second quickest in Pro 1500. Austin Riley, Racing with Autism's Austin Riley, car 20. He was down meeting and greeting the fans at the street party last night, and he is third quickest. He's had some podiums in every race so far. Brady Clapham also right in the mix of things as well. Fastest driver in Pro 1340. What can Chris McMurray do? He's sitting down in 17th fastest on the grid at the moment.
Well, we're looking at Austin Riley. He had a little encounter with the gravel earlier at turn 6, but apparently hasn't slowed him down too much. It's nice that someone that young can just kind of put that out of their head, because that's what you've got to do. Otherwise, you start replaying that stuff, it just sets you backwards. We're going to see in the top three what's going to happen, whether it's age and treachery will overcome youth and exuberance.
It was interesting just watching Brady Clapham, the 77, come through the corkscrew. The line he took was a lot more direct through the corner. A couple of other drivers really opening up the entry. Of course, if you can carry the road speed and take the line that Brady's taking, you're shaving off duration or distance around the course, and also really, really straightening up that corkscrew. Once you've set it up, you're almost through, and then it's on to this very, very challenging left-hander, pulling gears in these high downforce cars. You can see some dust has been kicked up around the turn 4 area.
Everybody's been running it a little bit wide there, even if they haven't had a huge encounter. There's been one or two drivers that did a quick off and on, but they're carrying some momentum through there.
Louis Schreiber just coming past the screen and the main straight. You can see the lovely colour of the IndyCar team setup in pit lane. And we've had a spin. That's Dermot Ennis, and he's gone round in turn 2. Not the greatest position to be in, I must say, and luckily for Matt Roma, he's cleared that car. A couple of other drivers too, having to just make sure they don't find their way into Dermot. Dermot trying to find a gear and get that Radical going again. He does so.
Back on track, however, bringing a little bit of the dust with him from the gravel traps. Something to keep an eye on for later on.
So Mike Ansaldi coming through screen. He's on a flyer. You can see the pace of that white and blue car, the Williams homage livery on Mike Ansaldi, the 61 Pro 1500 driver. He sits 5th fastest at the moment, but he's on a flyer. Hopefully he won't catch too much traffic. It looks like the driver ahead's just run wide a little bit. And I think Spencer Schmidt's also in the thick of it. So that's the 69. That's one of our drivers from Arizona. And that is Mike Darden, who was just finding a little bit more of the track than you'd want to as he climbed the hill towards the corkscrew.
All right, we're seeing him spread out a little bit. It is still John Fields on point right now. Williams second quickest with a 124.5. Third quickest Romer with a 124.6. Everybody is in a 124 range to 123 in your top 5 right now.
I'd expect some drivers to find some more speed as the Hankook rubber comes in. Certainly John Field, Radon Nicol and Brady Clapham have found some pace early on, but look at Chris McMurray. He's within a 10th now of Brady Clapham for the Pro 1340 pole, and we wondered what Chris McMurray could do. He hasn't been in the series for around about a year, but immediately back on the pace and giving his all and giving it to Brady Clapham. It's another fight between a Canadian and American as we have more dust kicked up. So you can see the traffic here, and this is the trouble. There's 27 cars on circuit. 14 minutes remain. Everyone is vying for a lap here. It's not just about touring this circuit quickly. It's who can find the space as well, and perhaps who can get a slipstream at the same time.
And that's what we look at with the veteran drivers here. Sometimes, discretion being the better part of valor, having to back off and fight that instinct to drop the hammer to just get some clear track, get a clean or lap or two in there, because sometimes that's all it's going to take. We've got a pack of cars coming down through the corkscrew right now.
They're sort of backed up behind one of our newer competitors in the Platinum class. So that is the 25 of Dale Dillon running for Graham Rahal Performance. I'd say Dale's a lightweight driver because he's actually missing a leg. So Dale is taking advantage of a fantastic system. He's got the hand clutch in the car, and Dale has been racing all his life. In fact, he's been involved with motorsport, managing circuits as well, speedway and all the rest. And so Dale Dillon trying his luck in the Radical Cup and just finding, well, 1 foot out there, shall we say. But, the Graham Rahal Performance Driving team has done a good job of converting the Radical with the hand clutch, all to the FIA disabled guidelines. And Dale Dillon enjoying his motorsport as much as anyone out there. But just perhaps learning the new system. They had used a hand clutch, but it was actually a mechanical clutch system at Road America. But this new system should be a lot better.
Yeah, when we got a spin.
And avoiding action. That was a good job by... Wow, that was a close stuff. That was Andy Lowe who had to do quick work there.
Some evasive action in turn 6, most definitely, but spun and going again. But, that was touch and go for a second.
Chris Hunt in the 53 coming through the screen now. And behind him, there's Brady Clapham in the orange-nosed white and blue car. So, John Field is still the class of the field, if you will. Louis Schreiber, second quickest. Wayne Williams with some work to do in the Platinum class. Chip Romer's right in the thick of things too. Matt Romer, crucially, has found some pace when it comes to this battle for the Pro 1500 pole. Raiden Nicol, who was sort of the star of the show, right up in the thick of things. As you can see, it's Platinum class cars, then Pro 1500s. Matt Romer doing the business. Spencer Schmidt right now, just ahead of him. So a good battle there for the front few rows of Pro 1500. Luke Kendall, a rookie, showing his wares as well, and certainly another name to add to the book to keep an eye on. Scott Wagner now finds a little bit of time for Austin Riley and Sam McDougall. Sam McDougall debuting in the championship, and Sam doing a sterling job for Cameron Racing. In fact, Sam is the fastest of the Cameron Racing cars at the moment, so surprising not to see Arul Venkatesh and Ryan Persing a little bit further up. But Arul being eclipsed again by younger brother Valen Venkatesh. There we go. Ryan Persing now puts in an indicative time. Probably and we've got a car beached. And that is going to bring out the red flag with 10 minutes remaining. Just on the top of the corkscrew there.
Yes, nothing's more disconcerting than being spun and looking at everything coming directly at you.
Yeah, so the 88.
That is Dermot Ennis Racing, Canada. Sitting, and he's going to have to be pushed out. You can see where the back of the car is hanging off the curbing. There's no contact with that rear tire, it looks like, onto the surface. So
Charlie Kimball, our race director this weekend, of course, very storied IndyCar driver. Red flag comes out. And we will hopefully get a couple of minutes. Of course, there's a few drivers out there who will be hoping that nothing happens, that this is a very slow recovery, and this will end the session. It's always an anxious wait when you're down in pit lane for the likes of John Field, Raiden Nicol, and Chris McMurray. You've done the business right now. You're going to sit there in pit lane and count the clock down. In fact, I remember a long time ago now being in a similar situation at New Jersey Motorsports Park. I'd managed to extract a lap, put it on pole, it went red the next lap, and the team was telling me it's done, it's over. And I wasn't willing to give in. I sat down the end of pit lane waiting until finally the checkered flag came out in the session. I just wasn't prepared to accept that things were over and I'd taken the pole, but it really will be a case of waiting now for John Field, Raiden Nicol and Chris McMurray. So far they've done the business in their respective classes. But as you can see, the 88 could get going here quite quickly if he hasn't done any damage to the drivetrain.
back to that situation, just think how you would have felt if you'd have climbed out, taken off your helmet, taken off your hounds gear, and the next thing you know, you still could have gotten a couple laps in. That's just better safe than sad.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing was I put the car off in practice earlier, but I knew after that incident I could do the job. My father was back in Australia, and I didn't dare ring him to say that I'd caused some damage and cost the family some money in the practice session, but I certainly rang him after qualifying and said, good news, we were on pole. Bad news, we've got to find a bit more budget. So,
well, that's when you do the careful, when it's an overseas phone call, even if it's a cell phone, hey, good news, we're on pole. Bad news, we have a bad connection.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
But it looks like John Fields threw in a couple of laps that were pretty good in the Sector 2 and Sector 3, picking up the quickest time in those sections, solidifying his top qualifying spot. Schreiber got a good flyer in on that first section, the first sector over there, so he had as a 124.29, and Fields with a 123.45. So we still technically have 7 minutes left in this session. I think they'll probably give him a green flag and get a couple out there. And yes, they are doing so.
Yeah, so that's good work by the emergency crews here at WeatherTech Raceway. You can see that Wayne Williams is stationary in the pit lane. Stunning shot of all the cars leaving rapidly from their boxes. A few drivers electing just to hang back. Of course, it's going to be all about finding some space. Less than 7 minutes on the clock. It's all going to come down to the wire. It's qualifying for the Radical Cup North America Series, and there's 3 class poles on the line, 3 McDonald's Pole Awards, and the question is who can eclipse John Field, Raiden Nicole, and Chris McMurray. If you're following along with some of the older drivers in the Pro 1500 class, I've got to report that Mike Anzaldi is our fastest of the Gold class drivers within Pro 1500. Andy Lowe's second quickest in that subclass. And Jack Yang, who's leading the points in that one, has got some work to do. So everyone just trying to find a bit of space. Some good gaps coming up, and you can see that John Field was back out on track, so he's not convinced that his 1:23.4 is enough. It's certainly a decent gap, 0.8 of a second, but it just shows the caliber of the field, particularly in the Platinum class. All these drivers over 30 years of age. It's one of the requirements of the class. 430 brake horsepower they've got to manhandle around this circuit. Plenty of downforce in these cars, but this is it's a heavier power plant. It does move around. It walks around on the Hankook tyres. You've got to extract everything out of them, and it looks like it was Matt Roma who was just extracting a little bit too much out of turn 3. So Matt Roma, third quickest in Pro 1500 at the moment. What can he do? He's been super quick this weekend. Put it on the podium last year here. And we've got a car slowing to the outside. And I think that's John Field. So John Field, he'll have to be careful here, because now there is a rule that says if the race director deems that you've stopped on purpose, if you've caused a red flag on purpose, you could have your fastest lap deleted. That would be drama for John Field, because he is currently on the pole. So it's important for him that he at least tours around to get back into the pit lane to safety if he thinks that that issue is going to come back.
Or could that brief pause have been just a little clear track ploy?
It could have been, but it sort of looked like he was well off the circuit. He's going for it, though. You can see he's started a flyer. So he was using all the exit curb of the final corner. He had a certain amount of attitude coming into that final turn. And now he hasn't got the greatest run down into turn 1, mind you. And it's dicing with one of the Pro 1500 cars. Wayne Williams is in the pit lane, so he thinks a 1:24.5 is all he's got at the moment in the 57 machine. Louis Schreiber is still touring. Spencer Schmidt, second quickest in Pro 1500. And no one seems to be able to find the pace of Rayden Nicol at the moment. The man with 9 wins from 9 starts, a stellar campaign in his rookie season of Radical Cup. He did 1 race last year at Barber Motorsports Park, could have won all 3 races. I gotta say, and being just honest and candid, he threw the wins away each time, just lacking a little bit of racecraft. It was evident the pace was there, but just the experience of mixing with multi-class racing, dealing with traffic, dealing with different situations. The kid is quick, there's no doubt about it. And I think it was a big eye-opener for him to learn, as we've had Chip Romer go around in the Stella Artois car. So Chip Romer, 4th quickest in Platinum at the moment, but he's kept this session green by going to the inside. Oh, he's gone over that grate in the middle of the gap between the pit exit road and the corner, and I did observe that the other day. There's some big hazard areas around this circuit if you get offline.
I think he was just making efforts to get out of harm's way at that point, in spite of the rumble strips. Just keep it from being in the impact zone.
So Ryan Persing's continuing to find some pace as well. The younger Persing brother, Nick Persing, had a great battle here a couple of years ago to win a championship for Radical Northwest and Cameron Racing. Ryan Persing trying to follow in older brother's footsteps. Certainly doing a good job in his rookie year, learning a lot in the Radical Cup Series. And you can see, actually, the rear wing has folded down on Chip Romer's car. So I think when he's had a spin, he's actually caught the back of another car there. They've clipped, and the rear wing's just starting to fold down. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a black flag. But in any event, that's not what you want. The rear wing folding down will be a lack of downforce and easily will result in another spin. But yeah, Ryan Persing doing a good job. Spencer Schmidt. In fact, interestingly enough, Ryan Persing taking over the number 19 seat from Spencer Schmidt, who moved to the Graham Rahal Performance Team this year. Spencer Schmidt's been doing a solid job in Pro 1500. So too, Austin Riley, who we've mentioned, and Luke Kendall, another rookie in the field. Sam McDougall, though, I'm very much impressed with Sam's performance. Coming from the sim world into the real world and doing a lot of testing with Radical Northwest. The checker flag is out, so John Field, provisional pole sitter of the Platinum class. Rayden Nicol is fastest in Pro 1500 and will be on the pole there. And Pro 1340, Chris McMurray shows up. The young gun, Brady Clapham. So that'll be a good battle, no doubt about that. Interestingly enough, there's a couple of out-of-class, if you like, Pro 1500 drivers in the thick of that too. So it's going to be an interesting test for some of these drivers with the out-of-class cars in the way, in effect. But this qualifying session only setting the grid for race 1, so there will be certainly some opportunities for these drivers to come back through the pack.
4:15, there should be a lot of rubber laid out. It should look great.
So there we have it. John Field at 23.4, taking the pole from Louis Schreiber, Wayne Williams, Chip Romer. That's the top 4 in the Platinum class. Then in 5th position on the grid, in theory, will be Rayden Nicol. He was our provisional pole sitter in the Pro 1500 class. From Matt Romer, Scott Wagner in the Platinum class, Ryan Persing, 3rd quickest in Pro 1500. Then it's Spencer Schmidt, Austin Riley. And then back in 14th position is Brady Clapham. He is... Now, that's interesting. Brady Clapham on that final tour. Well, don't speak too soon, because he is the provisional pole sitter in Pro 1340. So Chris McMurray, we thought he'd done it. The checker flag was out, and on that final tour, Brady Clapham taking the provisional pole. Congratulations to him. A 1:26.3 continues his winning ways as he comes off the streets of Toronto and into this stunning permanent circuit here at WeatherTech Raceway. He is the pole sitter in Pro 1340. So that wraps up qualifying here at Laguna Seca. And as you mentioned, we'll be back later on this afternoon for Race 1.
That's right, Race 1 at 4:15. We'll see you back here. Meanwhile, the next on-track action will be at 1 p.m. with the first practice of Indy Next. And, yeah, that was going to... You saw some lap times drop here. This afternoon is going to be very interesting for that first race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.